欢迎回到节目现场。我们刚才听到2位来宾，中研院的郭老师跟图瓦鲁大使跟我们分享关于气候变迁在太平洋岛国地区的这个对太平洋岛国地区的冲击还有影响，以及图瓦鲁当地的一个状况。那我们继续来聊聊。So last part we mentioned about the impacts of climate change to the Pacific island countries. So I was wondering that whether the Tuvalu people will concern that they have to migrate to other countries.
All right. I think not many people like think of migrating, but there are some still want to migrate. Like we have there's a scheme by New Zealand, and every year, so people of Tuvalu, they always apply to that scheme, and usually everywhere 75 people can go to New Zealand if they are successful. So people, they use that opportunity for those who want to migrate. Some people, they want for better education for their children, for work. Most of them are migrating for that purpose. And I think maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe there are some also migrating because of climate change. But for people of Tuvalu, I think most of them, they want to stay on their land. They don't want to leave. So that's why they are calling on the world to try to limit the global warming, because people, they want to stay, especially the older generation. Yeah, they want to stay in their homeland. So I think there are some who want to migrate, but most of the people, they want to stay back in Tuvalu because they don't want to lose their land, their culture, their traditions. So for climate change, as what I said, there are some, but mostly they migrate on other purposes. Most of the people back there, they want to stay back. And we really want to tell the world that we want to stay there. Our statehood is really important, our land, our security. That's why we always raise this and advocate this in international meetings and conferences.
As we know that for Taiwan indigenous people, land is also important for us to maintain the cultural lifestyle and the culture. So we can understand why stay on the Tuvalu land is so important.
That's right.
Yes. 好，那刚刚大使呢是提到呢，这个有些人想要就是留在岛上，但是也有人可以接受是移民到其他国家。那这个部分，老师也可不可以跟我们补充一下？
好，我想关于这个议题哈，大使刚刚讲的，我觉得跟一般的这个学术研究的调查是相当接近的哈。也就是说，有一些学者的调查也发现，大部分岛民其实是希望能够留在自己的原乡哈，那不想要这个因为气候变迁等等的方式，必须要离乡背井哈。但是另一方面，其实每个人都有自己对未来的规划哈，所以有些人为了像大使刚刚谈的哈，为了教育啊，为了工作，为了经济，为了医疗等等的各种原因了哈。其实，在人群的迁徙， 在这个太平洋的原住民文化里面是非常的传统的。好，那可能一个家庭里面可能也有部分的小孩到这个其他国家去讨生活，好，甚至是搬迁到那个地方。但是有些人就是留在原来的家乡里面继承家业啊，好，继承土地啊，好，那守护你的传统啊，好，守护跟祖先的连结啊，好，那这些，所以其实有时候同一个家庭，它也可能是有这个分散的策略的哈。那这其实在大洋洲是非常常见的。那以这个迁徙来作为一种环境变迁时候的适应策略，其实在全球的原住民文化里面也是非常普遍的啊，哈。所以这件事情并不需要把它过度的放大来看了哈，就它其实本来也就是传统的一部分，本来也就是一个可能性的选择哈。但是同时间与土地的强烈的连结哈，那文化必须要扎根在土地上这件事情哈，在这个区域里面也是我想跟台湾原住民是一样的哈，就是也是非常的强烈的哈。所以我想这两个概念是同时存在的哈，是需要被看到的。
是，可是我们现在谈到的是说，因为气候变迁可能会让他们要被迫就是迁移到其他国家，这个问题是也是很多岛国在面临的挑战吗？
其实的确是有一些人会把是不是要这个迁徙了哈？气候变迁会当成它非常重要的一个关怀。那这跟其实你自己我刚刚说过哈，不同的岛屿，
他们的情况
对每个你住的同一个地方哈，可能前后差个10公里，你可能面对的挑战就不太一样哈。所以每个人的这个迫切性的看法哈，可能也不尽相同了哈。那可是通常就像大使刚刚说的，是它并不是单一。最后选择移民好，或是说离开的人，不是单一因素哈，而是一个多重性的考量，所以必须要放在这样的脉络下来理解是比较好。那所以我想或许也利用这机会谈一下说，有时候我们会在媒体上常常看到气候难民哈，这样子的称呼了哈。那对于岛国来讲，他们不是很喜欢这样子的名词哈。难民这个词听起来好像是很无助的哈，然后没有一个主体性，我是被迫。完全是被迫离开的。可是刚刚从大使来谈哈，我觉得很清楚，人民是有选择的哈，他是有思考过，是有一些理性的计算的哈。那所以他并不是一个纯粹只是逃难式的难民那样子哈，那反而是一个气候移民可能会比较好哈。那可是他气候移民它背后也是很多多重因素，不是纯气候，它只是其中之一哈。那所以可能用这样的方式来理解是比较合宜的啦哈。那另外一个气候难民这样子的一个标签，有时候也容易有一些学者会批评了哈，说这样的标签呢，事实上让那些接纳气候难民的国家变成了拯救者哈，可是他们本来其实就是那个碳排比较多的国家，所以这里面是不是被洗白了哈？就是当然他们愿意伸出援手是很好哈，比如说像纽西兰会增加了一些移民的quota哈等等，但是另一方面，如果过度使用这个词汇的时候，有时会让你看不见那个造成气候变迁背后，对是。
那老师，我可以再追问一下，就是其实，在迁徙到其他国家，其实也会牵扯到所谓他们自己国家的主权，还有所谓的迁移成本的问题。老师也可以跟我们分享一下。
好，那对于太平洋岛国来讲，非常重要的一个资源是海洋，哈，尤其是它的 EEZ 哈，它的这个经济海域哈，其实是等于是说土地面积可能对某些国家来讲，可能还是算是比较小，可是它的这个经济海域是很大的。那包括说这边捕鱼的这个执照啦，哈等等哈，那所以对他们来说，你看到这些国家的时候，不能只看到它的土地面积，必须要看到的一个是更大的海洋，其实就是它的一部分啊，像这个海洋的这个视野的思维了哈。所以当你离开了原来的地区说，当然这个在国际的一些讨论上就说，那你原来的经济海域还存在嘛？如果说岛屿假设真的消失的话，那它原来因此划的那经济海域还存在嘛？哈，那这在国际法上现在都还有很多的讨论。
是。那Ambassador, I would like to ask you, since the traditional knowledge system is gradually recognized as the way of combating the climate change, so would you please share some examples that how Tuvalu people use the traditional knowledge or traditional ecological knowledge to fight against the climate change?
All right. Now we, like under the National Strategic Plan, just passed last year, they are now strengthening, revitalizing the traditional knowledge with regard to agriculture, for people to go back to their traditional, doing their planting, use their traditional knowledge, like planting pulaka and other plants. People are encouraged to continue to do those kind of work. Like what I said, some of the islands, their crops, the pulaka, the giant taro, have been damaged by these soil intrusion and tropical cyclones. So they are shifting to new technology, but they still using the local compost to plant their taro. Just the different place to plant because of the soil intrusion. But how they plant, they are using the same local compost. They don't use any other, only the traditional local compost when they're doing their planting. And also what I've already said about they are trying to replant the coconuts, because some of the coconut trees have been there for so long, they need like to cut them and replant the new ones. So because that's the main staple food we have, beside the pulaka and the fish we got from the ocean. And also people, they can go fishing. I'm not sure how, because most of them now, they are using new technology, but there's still some people using like going by local canoes, go out fishing, and hopefully they can go back to the old ways, like using the coconuts leaves to make their, like some of torch lights they can use when they go out fishing. Because now they are reviving the traditional way. I think they should go back to those traditional way of fishing, because that will help with regard to the issue of climate change. And also with regard to their living, the house they live, some they still use their old, the traditional houses.
Traditional houses.
Yeah. But most of them they change because of these cyclones. They need like much stronger. But traditional houses are much better, because when you stay there, it's really cool. Not like the new buildings. It's really hot. You need the air condition. But the traditional house is very cool to stay in. And I hope people can go back to that traditional way of living. And also with regard to making their food, they can also use that traditional way. Because usually in the past we don't have this refrigerator, so they know how to preserve their food for a longer period. Yeah. But I think some of the people in the islands, they're still doing that, how to preserve their food, like in drying, and also salt, putting salt. I think it's really a good idea to go back to the traditional knowledge to help with this issue of climate change. But for us, like what I said, is now in our strategic plan for people to revitalizing this traditional knowledge.
Yes, we can see that traditional culture is changed, is forced to change because of climate change. Like the house, you have to build a new style house instead of the traditional house, just in case the flood and other extreme weather. Okay, so in your opinion, what is the biggest challenges or what is people really need in Tuvalu nowadays?
They need, because we're trying to adapt, they need assistance with regard to agriculture and also water. Although there's some assistance provided to all the islands, water tanks, but still, it's still an issue for us because when the rain comes and when it's finished, that's all. And when it comes, all water storage are full and there's nothing else to collect the waters. So when the rain goes and then the drought comes and that's it. Some people are still using well water for those islands which they can still use it, but most of the islands they can't because the water is not good for use. So providing those assistance for people with regard to agriculture and with regard to energies, like now all the islands are having solar energy.
Solar energy.
Yeah. I think for the past several years, and we need those to be maintained because currently I know they need to be replaced.
Yes.
So we need assistance in that so that we can maintain the solar energy just to help out with this reduction in global warming. I think many people are also practicing to cut down on energy uses. Every island, they have their own policies. Like some of them, they can spend 1 to 2 days during the week not using any sort of energy during the day, just to help out. So I think those assistance that could help people to adapt to this issue of climate change is really important, but we need those assistance from our development partners.
Okay. 那其实刚刚大使有提到呢，就是其实还是有一些岛民他们是用传统的这个生活的方式，但是他们现在也是因为气候变迁关系，所以开始使用了一些太阳能的资源啊，或是就是其他的科技去帮助他们去度过这个难关。老师有没有什么想补充的？
我想面对气候变迁的挑战，非常重要的是要能够传统知识跟这个新的这个科技发展之间能够结合了那比如说，为什么传统知识非常的重要比如说，我们想要了解说，海平面是不是有在上升啦？那或者说观测一些最基础的资料，你当然是可以用一些，比如说卫星这个比较大的 scale 的来这个观测但是另一方在地的观点在地人参与这样子的一个观测其实是非常的重要的那在地的观点在比如说做一些政治的判断，或者说做一些科学判断上，其实是非常有意义的。我举个例子来讲如果你从这个观测这个海平面，就是说比如说这个大潮小潮啊海平面上上下下，因为潮汐有时候改变那如果你只看说看起来好像似乎没有太大的变化觉得说其实应该也还好吧 如果你从大的这个尺度来看的时候，觉得其实变化并不是很剧烈哈。但是从在地的角度来看，他就发现说一些极端值哈，就其实重点是它现在极端了哈。所以你看起来平均可能跟以前是没有很大的差异，但是极端值是对在地的生活是最大影响的。以前水只会淹到这里，现在淹到这里的时候，对你的生活的影响是很大。可是你的平均可能是没有太大差别哈。那所以从这个地方来看，在地的视角哈是不能被忽略的。那另一方面，像大使刚刚提到的一些在地的这个生活知识哈，比如说传统的建筑，某一些比如说万纳度，他们就发现说，你传统建筑的屋顶的这个斜角哈，其实是有传统祖先的智慧在里面。你面对台风的时候，它比较不会受到这个损害哈。那所以或许你的材料可以有一些精进啊，哈，或者说有一些新的融合哈，但是某一些建筑的方式哈，怎样的建筑形态是比较适合在这个面对台风、面对暴风雨哈等等，其实是可以参酌哈，不是说外来设计师就建筑师就自己盖一个房子，而是在这些方面都能够考量哈不同的知识体系之间哈能够相互合作哈。那相当多一些，比如说减灾的措施啊，好，那当然也都需要非常多在地的参与，尤其是在地传统知识哈，跟可能一些新科技的结合啦。比如说面对这个干旱哈，其实老人家本来就有一些好干旱的经验哈，或者说面对台风之后，我们要怎样先储存粮食哈的这样的一个好的传统的经验，或是说某一些植物的品种，它是特别会适合好在这种以前可能是会饥荒时期啊，因为干旱而造成或是风灾之后造成饥荒的那段时期，怎么度过哈的一些知识，那可能它有一阵子比较没有在使用了，因为现在可以用进口的食品啊，哈等等罐头啊，哈来替代。可是这些传统知识是非常重要的哈，所以有一些计划都是不同的科学社群哈，那跟在地的伙伴一起合作哈，去找出这样子可能可以其实重新再理解、重新再学习好这个传统知识的时候，其实是对于这个环境变迁的这个减灾适应是会有帮助的。好，那我想就是最近有相当多这样子的案例在发生中。
Okay, so last questions. What would the ambassador like to say to the world to call on them to face the issues of climate change?
All right. First of all, I would like to reiterate that climate change is one of the greatest existential threats to Tuvalu, to the security of Tuvalu. So I would like to call on those countries those who pollute most, I think they need to cut down on their greenhouse gas emission and from perspective of Tuvaluan culture, actions on climate change, I think it links to the concept of shared ownership and responsibilities. We call it in our language kaitasi. And I think climate change is a global problem. So people need to work together in trying to address this global problem of climate change, because it is a shared problem and that must be addressed through a joint action of everyone. I think we need to work together so that we can address this issue of climate change.
Thank you. So this is a shared responsibility for the whole world.
It's a shared problem.
Yes, a shared problem.
Created by everyone, but we have different responsibilities.
Oh, yes.
We need to work together, like caring everyone, and try to solve this global problem.
Yes, and no one left behind.
Yeah, no one is left behind.
So, 老师，那有没有想呼吁 对于针对这个气候变迁有什么想呼吁的？
气候变迁是一个我们当代非常严肃的议题哈。那尤其是如果我们要对下一个世代负责，好，那是绝对不能够回避，而且是必须要迅速的行动。那它唯一的方式呢，就是大家要一起。好，那不只是说工业国家哈，需要跟其他的国家一起哈，那不同的知识体系也需要一起哈。那台湾作为国际社会的一个重要的分子，那台湾作为太平洋的一个好朋友哈，是家庭的一份子哈，那我们自己也要从自身做起哈。那台湾自己的这个减碳啊哈，这个能源转型啊哈，也是这个迫在弦上哈，所以我们必须要加速哈，我们只有拿出真正的实际的行动哈，才有可能真正面对跟解决这个问题，那也才能够无愧于心的面对我们太平洋岛群的朋友。
是，我们可以看到这气候变迁这个工作是刻不容缓，也需要全球通力的合作。今天谢谢2位来宾的分享，那我们也会持续的关注这个议题。谢谢观众朋友的收看。